Life is a winding road, no telling where it goes. Driving through days and nights, won't stop for traffic lights. And I really wanna know if I will ever figure out where the road goes. Even if I'm falling down, I will keep on searching for my highs. You can say I lost my mind, I will keep on holding my head high.
Good morning everyone, welcome to a new little vlog. This one's going to be a bit different. You'll probably know me as KnightStrider or Andrew over here in Tenerife, but I do actually have a car rental company and that is my main job. So I'm going to run through some of the driving tips, some rent-a-car tips, picking up a car, general driving around, parking, things like that over here in Tenerife. You can apply the same thing to other Canary Islands as well. So yeah, going to run through that, hopefully give you a few tips and stuff. So just to mention as well, my company is called Sanasti. You can go on the website www.sanasti.com. I'll put the link in the description. If you quote KnightStrider or YouTube as well, you will get a 10% discount if you are interested in renting a car. You can pick them up from the airport, we can deliver them to the hotel, your accommodation, or you can pick it up from the office in Los Cristianos. So I just thought I'd drop that in. Let's hit the road.
My highs. You can say I lost my mind, I will keep on holding my head high. Even if the sky is falling down, even if the sky is falling down, yeah. The sky is falling down.
So one of the first things you're going to come across is obviously your paperwork. When you go to pick up the car, you're going to have to fill in the contract, or you may have already sent in the details, depending who you've gone with. Just make sure all the details on the paperwork are correct for a start. Make sure you've got your passport, your driving license with you. So many people forget their driving license and call up and ask if it's okay just to drive with the passport. You've got to have your license, so make sure you bring that with you. Don't forget it, because if you do, chances are they will not give you the car. They're not meant to anyway. But check all the details are correct. Check what level of insurance you're getting. Check your taxes are included. With the rent-a-car, it is quite high. It's 12% VAT or sales tax, so check that is included. And just generally read the contract over, check it all before you go ahead and sign. Just to note as well, check what fuel policy you're going with. With us, you just bring it back on the same level, so it would be marked what the fuel type is and what level it was on when you got it. But some do a package where you buy a full tank of fuel and bring it back empty, or you pick it up empty and bring it back full. There's all different things with the fuel policy, to check what you've got to do with the fuel. Normally, it is better just to opt out of the fuel options and just bring it back on the same, because you do pay a slightly higher price for a full tank to then bring it back empty, and you're never ever going to bring it back fully empty, because you've got to get it back to where you got it from, etc. So check the fuel policy, check you're happy with it as well before you sign the box. So once you've been allocated your car, no matter where it is or who you've got it from, it can be the airport, the hotel, the office, just go around the car with your phone, with your camera, just mark out any marks on it so there's no comeback if there is any existing damage. Just go around it, check it all over, check you're happy with it. Maybe even point out some of the damages just to check, but you have it on record. Photos or video is the best option. So just go around it, check it all over before you then proceed to jump in. If you do pick up a car with a baby seat, just make sure you secure it properly, because a lot of companies don't have insurance to secure the seat themselves. They do ask the client to fit it just in case anything happens. So make sure the seat is secure. Normally it comes with instructions on the side, but if you're not sure, just ask the rental company about the chair. So now you're in the car, you've been allocated, you've got it, you've got your luggage in, you've jumped in the car, or you've jumped in from the hotel, wherever you're picking it up from. With us, you can get it at the airport, the hotel, or the office here. You've got 3 options. But wherever you're getting the car from, just familiarise yourself with everything. So familiarise with how you start the car. With this one, you've got to have the foot on the pedal. Familiarise yourself with the lights, how they work, full beams, main beams, everything like that. The gears, just work out where everything is. For example, on this one, drive is actually E for some reason. So just check where everything is, make yourself comfortable, adjust your mirrors, check you're happy and comfortable before you're then going to start driving and heading off to where you're going to. If you do feel more comfortable with a GPS, you can get those, or get the Google Maps on your phone is a good option. So make sure you've got some 3G and a bit of data, so you can run the Google Maps for directions. Or you can be traditional and old-fashioned and go with a map. You can pick up various free maps around in different places. So make sure you've got a bit of a map or a bit of a guide for where you're going, even though you think you might know. It's always handy just to have a map or a bit of Google Maps on the phone. So you're heading off for the day, or you're heading to the hotel, wherever it is you're going. Key thing is just to keep it steady. Take your time. Don't feel pressured by anyone behind you or anything like that. Just take it steady. Go at your own pace. It is like riding a bike. I know a lot of people worry about, especially from the UK, switching over to driving on the left, driving on the right from the left. Sorry. It's like riding a bike. You do get used to it very, very quickly. But key thing is just take your time. Keep an eye on the speed limits. Take your general bearings, but also try and be confident as well. It's not as hard as people think. A lot of people, the first time drivers, when they first take the car, after a couple of hours, they send me a message or they come back the next day and they're like, it's actually, you were right, dead easy. It's not super difficult. You've just got to really stay aware of the people around you. In general, over here, a lot of people don't indicate, so look out for that. And then we're going to go on to roundabouts shortly, but on the roundabouts, people will cut you up, whatever lane you're in. So you just have to be aware of what's around you. But generally, the roads are very easy. The roads are not super, super busy. You're not going to be jam-packed in traffic. You might get the odd bits in Santa Cruz, in the capital, but it's generally now nice scenic roads. A lot of them are just simple, one way up, one way down. And then in the towns, you will have one-way systems where obviously you just follow the one way around. It's pretty easy. But we're going to go on shortly to parking. There is various different parking things to go through, so make sure you don't get towed away and don't get in trouble with parking. And we'll also go into a few other little bits that I think might be useful to you guys for driving. But in general, it's not super difficult. You've just got to watch for a few things. So we will go on to roundabouts next. So there is quite a few roundabouts around in Tenerife. A lot of them are just very simple. You will see a few big major ones, like the one in Los Cristianos here. I will show you on the drone as well. It is big, and at peak times it can get a little bit tricky. When it's quiet, it's an absolute doddle, but when it's busy, it can get a bit backed up. It can be difficult to pull out and find a space, but just take your time. When you see the gap, go for it, be confident. And a lot of times people will sort of slow down when they see you're going to join on. But as I said earlier, people will cut you up no matter what lane you're in, so just be aware of that. If you're in the outside lane, people will cut across you from the inside, and if you're in the inside lane, you'll find it difficult to then cut across to the outside. So just be careful of that. Watch for people around you, but big busy ones like that where people can cut you up, there's only a couple of them on the whole island. The rest are all just simple, easy, single roundabouts with one way around, and where you can't really go wrong. They just keep the traffic flowing. Traffic lights, again, not many of them in Tenerife. Traffic lights, they love their roundabouts. So Santa Cruz, you've got a few traffic light systems. You'll see the amber light flashing a lot of the time, which means obviously proceed but with caution. And then they just work the same: red stop, green go. And then you've got a couple in Los Cristianos, a couple of traffic lights, but generally they prefer their roundabouts. They're not big on traffic lights, so just take your time on the big ones, and the little ones are really easy, self-explanatory. So parking, you will see some of these pharmacy bays. Now these, you can only park in these if you are actually going into the pharmacy, and you've got 15 minutes maximum to use it. They are 24 hours, but you've got 15 minutes to park in these. If you're not going to use the pharmacy, do not park in them, because you will get towed away and you will get a fine. So if you see these spaces, that's okay if you're going in the pharmacy, but not any other time. We have had people towed away from these, so just be careful. So you will also see these yellow Zig Zags around a lot. Now these are for loading and unloading only. So you will see the signs. You can park here after 1 o'clock. So between 9 and 1 o'clock, this is for loading and unloading for the supermarkets and things. But I do normally advise clients just to avoid them all the time, because you are constraining yourself with certain times. If you were to have a drink or something like that, then you can't come and move the car, and they are quick to tow them away. If you're not here and move the car by 9, they will tow it away. So you're much better obviously just trying to get in these regular white spaces. They're completely free, don't cost anything, you won't get towed away. You can park on those yellow Zig Zags between certain times, but I would just avoid them completely if you can. Same with the disabled, don't park in them unless you've got a badge. Make sure it's in date, make sure it's displayed in the windscreen. Again, I've had cars towed away where it's been a week out of date to the badge, or they just haven't put a badge in the window. They will tow you away, and it's a big fine. So just make sure you go in the white lines unless you've got the badge to go in the disabled. So with that parking as well, obviously, as I've mentioned, try and just stay in the white lines. If you can't get the free white line spaces, just go in one of the undergrounds. It's a couple of euros, not expensive, nice and safe. And the bonus is when you come back, the sun's not been on it all day, so it's not as hot. But if you do park somewhere slightly dodgy or where you shouldn't be, they do tow it away here and give you a fine. So the tow away fee, I think, is about 50 euros, and the fine, depending where you've parked, is normally about 100. Plus the fact you're gonna have to jump in a taxi to the compound to then wait in a queue to then get the car back out. So avoid it at all costs. Parking anywhere slightly risky. If you can't get the normal white spaces, go in one of the undergrounds for like €5-6 or whatever it is for the afternoon. It's well worth it than getting towed away, because it will take up a good chunk of your holiday as well, trying to get the car back. So just watch that. But other than that, parking's not too bad, especially at the moment. It is a little bit quieter at busy times. You will struggle a bit, especially down at the beach and things like that. But generally, parking, you will find spaces. You might have to drive around a little bit. In town can get quite busy, but I don't think parking's bad at all. A lot of the spaces now, you will notice they've made them so you reverse into them. So just be careful with that. You do have to sort of drive up a bit past the space and then back into them. I think it's for safety. I think they find that cars pulling out, driving straight out of the space is less risky than reversing out. So they have made a lot of those spaces reverse into, but I've never seen anyone struggle. They're all pretty easy. So when you're out and about, just make sure, it's very important this one, whether you're parked at the beach or like here I'm at Siam Park and I've got Siam Mall over here, make sure you leave the car completely empty. Take everything with you. You may think, oh, I'll just put it in the back under the parcel shelf. A lot of the time there's people sitting, waiting and watching for tourists to do that. So just leave the car completely empty. Take all your bags with you, phones, everything like that. Leave it completely empty and you won't have any problems. But if you do leave things inside and they look through and see them, or they see you put things in the boot, a lot of the time they will they'll pop the door locks or they'll smash the windows. So just take everything with you, leave it completely empty and you'll have no problems at all. It's the same all over the world, but here when there's a lot of tourists, a lot of people in cars, it is a popular thing to happen because people do switch off. So leave it empty, take everything with you and you won't have any problems. So joining the motorways is quite easy. It's the same as the UK. You don't get quite as long as of a slipway, which you'll see in a moment, but get yourself up to speed and just slip on nicely. Same as everywhere. It's not super difficult, the motorways. So you'll see we're going to join on in a moment. Everything is really clearly signposted as well. You'll see the blue signs which indicate the junctions. And then when you get to that junction, the signs turn white, all clearly numbered. So you see you've not got a super amount of time. You've got to get yourself up to speed and then just slip on, same as everywhere. But you'll see the blue signs clearly marked, junction 73, Las Americas. And then as you approach the junction, that sign will then turn white and you know you've hit that junction there, 73, Las Americas. And you'll just slip off whichever junction you're coming off at for whatever trip you've got planned or wherever you're off to. All very clearly signposted, clearly numbered. So before you start your trip, just make a note of which junction it is. Again, 73, dead clearly signposted. And you're off. And now motorways, you have got various speed limits. A lot of it is 120 kilometers an hour. Then it can go down to 90 or 100, so do keep an eye. It will be clearly signposted, the speed limits. There is a few speed cameras on the motorway as well, so watch out for those. A lot of people do get caught out with them. Just because you're in the rent-a-car, you won't get away with it. They do send the fines back to your home address from your passport number. So just be careful with the speed. Don't go too fast because there is the odd camera around. And while we're on cameras and things like that, obviously drink wise, I wouldn't go any more than one beer or try and avoid drinking completely while you're driving. They are quite strict on that as well. There's a lot of breathalyzers and things, different stops that they do through the town, so just watch out for that. I wouldn't bother having a drink at all if you're driving, but if you are, I wouldn't really have more than one pint or one large beer, and that would be it. So that is going to be it for today. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope it was easy to follow. It's not that easy to film, really. I did film this vlog last week, and then the footage got corrupt and it ended up just completely ending. So yeah, just check your paperwork, check what you're booking, check what is included when you book the car. Make sure you bring everything for that paperwork, your passport, driving license. You might need an international driving permit depending where you're from. It's highly likely that after June onwards that the UK, you will need an international permit, which you can get from the post office for around £5. So just check before you come on the government website if you need one of those or not from your country. Take it nice and steady, familiarise yourself with the car that you've got. It might be a good idea to check on YouTube and search for the model of car that you've got and watch some of the reviews. Then you'll be quite familiar with the car before you even get here. For example, if you search Citroen C1 review in YouTube, there'll be loads of videos on them. You can see where all the controls are before you even get here, which should be quite handy if you want to do that. Take it steady. Motorways, fairly simple, all clearly signposted. Follow the speed limits, follow the signs. People will whiz past you, but take it at your own pace. Parking, we did go through that. That is where most people slip up, is with the parking, believe it or not. Bumps, accidents, things like that don't happen very often at all. Cars getting towed away happens all the time. So don't switch off with the parking. Stay in the white lines, which are free. Avoid the yellows, in my opinion. I wouldn't bother with them at all. Avoid the blue bays, the pharmacy bays. And if you can't get in the white lines, just pay the few euros. I know a lot of you don't want to pay for parking, but it's much better paying for parking than to be towed away. Getting towed away is a nightmare. Other than that, again, as I mentioned, when you pick up the car, film it, take some pictures, check for damage. And that's it, really. Most of all, have fun. Don't get too stressed about it. Don't get too worried about it. It's just like driving at home. Switching to the other side if you're from the UK is very easy. It's like riding a bike. You flick into it very easily. I started driving here when I was 19 and I'd been driving for about a year. So it's not super difficult. You'll slip into it. One other thing to mention, people expect when they pick up these little cars and things like that, they expect them to fly up the hills and go super fast and be full of power. Bear in mind, Tenerife has got steep hills. A lot of it is on inclines. With the little cars, you can't get bigger than like a 1.2 engine in them, which are perfectly fine. They'll go all over the island. Just don't expect too much of the car. People pick up a little Panda, little 1.2 engine, and think it's going to, have loads of power to fly up the volcano and things like that. You are going to have to use low gears. You're going to need a bit of clutch control. But they won't put massive engines in them, in the small cars. And safety-wise, you don't want small cars with massive engines, dead powerful. People will be flying off cliffs and everything. So I quite think they quite like the cars being small engines, not loads of power, because they don't want people whizzing around the island super fast. So bear that in mind. You will have to use lower gears at some point. Don't expect every car to have loads of power to fly up all these hills. Some of the roads are quite steep, and people forget that when they come from the likes of the UK where it's very flat. They come here with the hills and they think, oh, the car's dead underpowered. It's exactly the same power as the UK. You just don't quite realise how incliney the landscape is. Other than that, hope you enjoyed it. If you do want to rent a car, sanasti.com. Get that 10% discount when you quote KnightStrider. Enjoy your driving here. Have fun. Loads of picturesque drives. You're not going to be stuck in traffic like in a lot of countries. There's loads of great roads, great drives, great views. They're all very safe. Relayed, a lot of them, over recent years, made safer. So enjoy it. If you have enjoyed the vlog, hit the thumbs up. Drop your comments. And drop your comments as well. Did I miss anything, do you think? Have you driven over here before? Do you find it difficult, easy? Let me know in the comments. And stride on. See you soon. Bye, guys.